welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia, episode 38. I'm your host, Jacob Russ, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Black, and we are back, and we are playing with power. Ryan, how's it going, man? What's up with you?
Oh, and I've had a crazy week.
I know.
I dropped my phone in water, and so I destroyed my phone, so I had to get a new phone, and my car is slowly killing me, so I have to pay out a bunch of money to get another car that I'm getting for free, but I had to fix it up. So, I've paid out a good chunk of change this week, and it's been kind of crazy.
Yeah, and you still were able to get all those amiibos that happened this week, somehow.
Yep.
He has a separate amiibo fund. There's the house fund, there's the budget for the house, for the cars, and then there's the amiibo section. I mean, I understand if you're a Nintendo fan, this is a priority. Well, Ryan, it's not just us today. We have, for the first time, an awesome, very special guest to Nintendo Nostalgia. Everyone knows we've had Bobby Pauls on. Bobby Pauls helped Nintendo Nostalgia really get going, and he's one of the key ingredients of making the show happen and exist today. But right next to him is his special co-host, Mr. Sean Capri, and we would not exist if Sean was not there as well either, because Sean was right along with Bobby, helping us come up with the name, the ideas for the show of how it works. Sean, I am so happy we're finally able to get something in the books. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man. You guys are not giving yourselves nearly enough credit. You basically, let me just give a quick rundown of what happened when you talked to Bobby and I a year ago. You came to us with passion and commitment and just you just wanted to talk about Nintendo. And we threw ideas at you and basically gave you an idea of what you didn't want to do, which I totally respect. You came back, you're like, nope, we're going to do this, this, and this, and we're going to call it Nintendo Nostalgia. And I'm like, that is a absolutely perfect name. That is way better than anything any of us could have come up with. So it has honestly been such an amazing journey, at least like for me to watch the show, like, and you guys to really kind of like find your footing over the last year. And like the passion was always there, like clearly that from the moment that we talked from the very first time, but over like especially the last few months, like you guys have both really, I think, matured as podcasters. And even just before we started here, it's like, you are a student of podcasts. Like you listen and you are very astute in your observations of other podcasts. And it's coming through on this show, man. I'm happy to be here and talking about one of my favorite games of all time. I've been looking forward to this for a little while now, Jacob. So thank you for having me, man. This is awesome.
Well, thank you for the kind words. They do mean a lot. And that's the most important thing I think anybody podcasting could do is be humble and just learn from other shows and other people. And you do that by connecting to other the whole indie podcast community, all of our friends from PSVG to the Warp Whistle to you guys and many more shows that we listen to and we're a part of. You just learn and listen to each other. And I listen to our own show. I listen to it kind of like I used to play football and all growing up. You watch film when you play sports and you learn from your mistakes and you learn what is good and what you like. And we do that to ourselves, it's not like, oh, I'm so good, I got to hear myself talk. No, it's did I like how we did that? Did I not like that? You know, we learn from, we're always trying to grow. Mm-hmm. And I do think in the past couple months, we've really been kind of liking the direction we've been taking things. And we're always looking to shake things up, but if it's for the better of the show. But no, thank you, Sean. Really glad that you're here.
Yeah, this is actually a really special thing for me. Like, I kind of look up to you. I love hearing you every week. You know how to handle Bobby, and Bobby's a handful, so... You put him in his place, distract him when he needs to be distracted, and you throw him off, and you do a good job.
You do.
Thank you. I was about to get weird. You guys know I get weird with compliments, but saying that I can handle Bobby, I will absolutely take that compliment. That's right.
You do a good job. He pushes poor little Toby around there quite
Bobby's
a bit.
Bobby's my special guy, and I met him in real life, and I gave him a hug that lasted a little longer than maybe he would have liked, but I don't regret it. I'll remember it forever. He's a cuddly little guy.
No, that's great. And you know what? We maybe all of us are online on this online community, and we don't see each other in person or even really have met in person, a bunch of us. But I mean this when I say this. I do view every single one of you guys as like real friends, as if when Ryan and I hang out in person, we live in the same city or outside of it together. And I treat him exactly the same way that I treat all of you guys. And I genuinely care about all of you guys and the people in our communities that talk to everybody. And it's the power of the internet, when it's used right, can do some awesome stuff. And I'm glad to know all of you. So
same here, man. I'm just doing the long play here. That one of these days you're gonna learn that I'm a serial murderer and you're all dead. You're all goners. This is
well, take out Bobby first.
All right.
Some time to prepare.
Sorry, Bobby.
Well, with that said, thank you. Glad to have you on, Sean. But let's go ahead and get into the news. Sean, since you are our guest, you have a couple topics you wanted to bring in today. So lay it on us, man.
Yeah, man. Well, before we even get into that, you just said, let's get into the news. And obviously this is done in post, but in my mind, the music is playing. I get a little hate from you because I throw some shade towards Donkey Kong Country, but come on, man. Like that music is in my head. I'm just happy. Just like it's 6 or 7 frames of animation I love it. So it's
my favorite part of every week when I listen to the show.
I love it. The music is a huge portion. By the way, I was a huge fan of that music episode that you guys did that just focused on music from old games. And gosh, that was really well done. So
thank you.
Yeah, man. Should we do some news? Is that what we're doing now?
Let's go ahead and hop into the news.
Okay, man. Well, I found 2 things that I wanted to talk about. I think I'll start with this one first. And then the last one just hits the news. The first one is that for the first time in 5 years, a wrestling game is coming to a Nintendo platform. And I have to tell you guys, yes, I'm so excited because WWE 2K18 is now coming to the Nintendo Switch. And 2K announced that it's launching alongside the other versions. I mean, there's still questions. I'm looking at IGN.com right now, and there's still questions about which deluxe versions are going or if there's different modes that are happening for the Switch. But right now, it's a good news story. The journalists are out reaching out to try and find out the bad news of this. But for right now, in this moment, we can celebrate. We can dance up and down because finally wrestling is back on Nintendo platforms.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, even though we don't know all the details, but just the fact that they're doing it day and date with all the other systems is phenomenal. And that's why that's why I get worked up when other companies can't release a game day and date with the other ones. I understand not every game, but no, I really like that. I hope they're putting all the effort into it like they are the other ones. It sounds like they are. But no, that's really exciting. Man, the last time I played a WWE game, it was still called WWF, and it was on the N64. So
yeah, man. At WrestleMania.
Yes. My brother had it actually. It was his game, and you could like create your own wrestler on there and make your moves, and it was really cool. I remember watching them all the time.
My neighbor Matt that I've talked about before. Yeah. So the guy that I grew up with, I don't have a memory of life without neighbor Matt. He used to spend hours and hours and hours making all of us. And like, he made like Austin Powers. He made all these different like weird characters. And also I should mention now I'm reading through the story and there have been updates. It's apparently not coming day and date. So already the bad news is breaking. It's not saying, they're saying fall, which apparently can go until technically mid-December.
Well,
so we have a fall release. We have a fall release but you know what? Whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm still.
Yeah, at least that's still coming.
I've always wanted to be like, I've wanted to play these WWE games for a long, long time. And for some reason, they just don't fit within my console gaming time. And that's what I've loved most about the Switch is that games that I wouldn't be playing on my console anyways, I'm finding time for on the Switch. Yeah, so this could be a chance for maybe the wrestling games to work their way back into my life because I love them, man. Even if I don't watch them every week, I love wrestling. Who doesn't love wrestling?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that. I kind of here's what I see the Switch as. I like to buy everything physical, but a lot of people like to download stuff, and I think the Switch is actually a great game to download all multiplayer games because so far the Switch is backloaded with fighting games like Pokken Tournament coming in September, ARMS, Splatoon 2 coming later this month, Mario Kart, anything with multiplayer, you can just have it downloaded right there onto your system and be like, boom, here it is. Let's all play together.
Amen.
That is a key feature with the Switch that I love. So I think you're onto something, and I think we're going to see more sports titles eventually. I think eventually all of them will be on the Switch at some point.
Yeah, God willing.
I'd actually like to play Madden again. I haven't played that since the GameCube.
That's a good point too. Yeah, exactly. Like just those games you can pick up and play a game, like just a match. That'd be perfect. Yeah, perfect fit. Hopefully, I've been asking for EA access on a Nintendo platform since the NX was like a thing. I just want EA access on everything. Sony said no. Nintendo, as long as they've got a couple games that come over to the Switch, that could be a thing. I'm sure people are screaming at me right now because that hardly makes any sense, and I get it. Stop screaming here.
Ryan, you seem a little excited about WrestleMania. Are you a big wrestler guy? Am I missing something here? I don't recall you a big WrestleMania type fan watching it every week.
I keep tabs on it just through in passing. I have a lot of friends that are big into wrestling, and that means that they're considering it for the Switch. They're thinking about getting the Switch because wrestling's coming, and that's their thing. And so, like, that makes me really happy. And just seeing them, like, jumping on the Switch, it's like, hey, they're doing this now. Yeah, it's not going to be, day of, but, hey, we can see it, and we can expect that future iterations are going to be day of. I hope that is a thing, and, like, I'm really excited about that for my friends, really. I have my, characters that I like just the same as I have sports teams. I've never watched a game of them in my life, but I like different people like, Peyton Manning. Babe Ruth, he's cool, right? He's a baseball guy. Babe Ruth, I like him.
Goodness gracious. What?
Andrew Luck. Don't forget Andrew Luck.
I've never seen a game in my life of them play, but hey, I pick up people that I'm big fans of or something, like, for no reason. But yeah, I've got I like Hulk Hogan. What can I say?
Yeah, Hulk Hogan. There you go.
And cool. Andre has a special place in my heart, but nothing like super new. Although he was in the spotlight recently, and that's probably why WWE is coming to the Switch. But John Cena was promoting the Switch and stuff, so that's pretty cool.
True.
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense. We should have totally seen this coming. This is the third party game. The reason this is such a big deal and people are excited about this, at least what I've seen today, is that this is the third party game that actually matters to Americans. Like FIFA was a big deal, but like America doesn't care about that. Like none of us care about that. Yeah. Like this is something that it's either this or Madden, like you said. Yeah. And this is that's why this is such a good news story.
Absolutely. And speaking of fighting games, you also had breaking news, right?
Yeah, man. I think people knew that this was coming, but apparently it just got released. So the new ARMS update 2.0.0, we've got, I'm at NintendoEverything.com right now. So Max Brass, Headlock Scramble mode, stats, events, and much more are available right now. So I can't wait to, I want to talk to you guys for as long as freaking possible. But as soon as that's done, I'm going to go update this thing because I think of everything, I'm most excited for this Headlock Scramble mode, which I was kind of just describing to you guys before we went on, which is so this is why I like ARMS. And if you just traded in ARMS, Nintendo Guru, what are you doing, man? Like there's so much still coming on this. And we know from Splatoon that this game will be supported and iterated upon for free, which is so exciting. And this Headlock Scramble mode basically is like a free-for-all type of mode, and there's this mask that turns you into that big dude. He's like the final boss in the single-player mode. He's got all the arms. He's like ARMS version of Goro, I think. So, nice. So there's this mask that you can get that turns your character into a headlock, and you can like do all the damage, but then everybody's going to be after you. And if they smack the mask off you, then somebody else can pick it up. And so and Scramble is a perfect mode. That's exactly what's happening. And I can't wait to see. I'm already, before I'm even playing it, think of different strategies. Like maybe I don't even want that mask. I want everybody else who's going for it, and I'll just be like jabbing up people's upside the head, just kind of ticking off their you know what I mean? Because if you got the mask, everybody's after you. But I'm just the guy just tripping people in their ankle and stuff. I'm pumped for this, dude. This is so soon after everybody was really worried that ARMS was going to get kind of sideswiped by the Zelda DLC. Nope. We can have many things happening on Nintendo Switch all at once, guys. It doesn't have to be just one at a time. This is very exciting.
Man, I'm so happy with everything the Switch is doing right now. Like, there's so much on there. Like, I don't have time to play everything. And there's just like, now they're dropping 4 games at a time. Like, it's awesome. Like, first there's like 2, every couple days, but now it's like, so good. I love what they're pulling there. So, something a little impromptu. I was digging around in the Switch menus, and I found a new feature under the system settings, where you can change the way you view your system. You can turn it to grayscale. And you can also turn it in inverted colors. And I do that a lot with my phone. I like to turn it into inverted colors just because I like the look of it. And so I've been playing with my Switch in inverted colors, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I that came, I think, with the latest update we got, like that 2.0 or something. I'm not sure what the exact numbers were, but yeah, that is a feature on there.
The main title, or the main news topic I wanted to bring was actually mostly Pokemon news. We're celebrating Pokemon Go's year anniversary, so they're celebrating with an Ash Hat Pikachu you can catching a few of them here and there. So that's pretty cool. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Go up until my phone bit the dust. So that's been a lot of fun. But really, I think come out today about there's this Pokemon Sun or Ultra Sun and Pokemon Ultra Moon. They're coming out with a 2-pack that's like a Steelbook edition, but it is only exclusive to Amazon. So be sure you have your Amazon. I don't know if it's Prime or not. I haven't had that confirmed.
They did that on for the original Sun and Moon too, but I believe GameStop had it because I remember Justin Masson getting talked into buying it, and he like returned it eventually and only got one of the games. But
well, the 2-pack, yes, it was just a box that had the 2 of them in it. It had like a code for some Pokeballs and stuff. Okay. But like this is actually like a Steelbook collector's edition. So that's what makes this really, really special. So
okay. Oh wow, okay. There's a lot of Pokemon news also in the works, Ryan. A little something about the anime.
Yes, apparently they are in the latest movie that's going to be coming out. They're rewriting history, if you will, by taking out Misty and Brock and replacing them with some other characters, and that's kind of crazy. I really don't know what to think about that.
That's kind of bomb. Yeah, that's bomb dropping news. Actually, I had mixed feelings on it. So if you guys don't know, the original adaptation of Pokemon all the way back at the start that we grew up on in the late 90s, Ash started his adventure and was joined by Brock and Misty. And they're making a movie adaptation with like updated art and stuff of that, basically that intro story and how everything started. But they took out Brock and Misty, who are his best friends and companions throughout I know all of Kanto and mostly all of Johto too. They're there with him, and they're now gone. And the thing was, at first I thought they were just gone. But no, I saw today that they're being replaced by 2 other people. Who are not gym leaders. So, I mean, I have mixed feelings on it. I liked the idea that, okay, maybe they're rewriting this the way it should have originally been written. Because I always had a problem how Brock and Misty were gym leaders in the game, but in the show, they really weren't much of gym leaders. I mean, Brock was at first, but then after that episode, he follows you along and he's like, okay, he leaves it to his dad. And Misty, she's not even a gym leader at all. It's her sisters. So I thought maybe they were correcting that, but I don't know now. And it would just be Ash by himself, but I guess that's not the case. I don't know all the details, but I just thought that was interesting. What do you think about that, Ryan?
I don't like it. I really, they can do what they want with it. But just say it's like an alternate timeline or something. Like, don't just make this like canon or something like weird like that. Like, just like how Dragon Ball Z movies, like they completely don't fit in. They're completely standalone. They don't make no sense to the actual story of the anime. So like, if that's what this is, okay, cool. I can live with that. But if they're trying to like soft reboot Pokemon with Ash starting out with different people and stuff, I'm like, why are you doing that? Why?
Well, I here's one theory. Potentially, I don't know if you guys know all your Pokemon lore and history stuff, but there's actually two dimensions in Pokemon. So everything that happened up until X and Y happened on an entirely different dimension. So then right before X and Y, once X and Y hit, they introduced Mega Evolution. Mega Evolution never exists in the original red, yellow, blue, silver, gold, ruby, sapphire, emerald, crystal, all that stuff. Diamond, pearl, platinum, didn't have it. So, and when they remade Alpha Sapphire and Alpha Ruby, they weren't just remakes. They're remakes with Mega Evolution. And what it was, there's actually an asteroid that's coming to destroy the planet in the game. And there's people, scientists that can make a portal, and they said we can just open this portal and send it into a different dimension. And there's actually some character who travels dimensions in the game, comes in the game, and this is huge spoiler stuff, by the way. So I'm sorry if you've never played the game, but she says
that's not why I'm making this face. Let's say you have the technology to build a portal to take you to another dimension, but you don't have the technology to stop this asteroid or even redirect it or send Bruce Willis up to drill a hole in it and blow it in 2 pieces. You don't have any of that, but you've got the portal. Okay. I mean, I believe the rest of it, so I might as well just go along for the ride.
That's a good point. But they open up, they don't want to, this girl says, don't open up the portal because you're going to send this into a dimension. And on the other side of that dimension, there is a planet just like ours, but without the capabilities to stop this asteroid themselves. And basically you're going to destroy an entirely different civilization. And that other dimension is all the events from the first line of Pokemon games that we got. And how they stop it in Mega and Alpha Ruby and Sapphires, you actually have a Mega Rayquaza, and he's strong enough to actually destroy the asteroid. But long story short, my theory is maybe this remake is on that other timeline with all this other stuff. I don't know. I could be completely wrong because I haven't been watching the anime's latest stuff. I think they might have Mega Evolution now, so I could be completely wrong.
You know, I kind of backtrack a little bit on that reboot thing. If they did the whole thing where, like, you know, Ash is like living a dream, like he makes a wish or whatever when he sees Ho-Oh, and like that's why he never grows up. But if they reboot it to where it doesn't actually do that meeting with Ho-Oh and just actually continues on an adventure like he should have, that would be kind of an interesting way to do that.
Oh, he actually grows up?
Yeah, like he actually grows older, and like instead of the whole like Ho-Oh like theory that he made a wish and that's what became of him. so to say. So I don't know, it'd be kind of cool to see if they actually support that fan theory or what they do or yours, and we'll see what happens when the movie comes out.
Or it could be completely nothing, and it's a one-time thing. So Sean, there's a little bit of Pokemon education there for you. Pokecation there.
It's all in my brain now. It's all right there. It's locked in.
We hope you're a diehard fan now. So.
I got a Pokedex around here somewhere. I do. I got the X and Y Pokedex.
Oh, very nice. I don't even have that.
That's a thing.
Cool. Well, Ryan, I'm going to go ahead and segue into my topic. I want to talk about first two things. It all revolves around Metroid here. Metroid, the creator of the Castlevania series. So I don't know if you guys have watched that, and our listeners have watched that. I personally have not watched that and will not watch it. Doesn't really look appealing to me, and I don't have much of a connection to Castlevania in the first place. But the creator of it said he really wants to do a Metroid adaptation of a cartoon for Netflix. Ooh. And which is big stuff, and it's been circulating the web because I think we all would agree. I think a Metroid anime would be phenomenal, and I would love it. Now, my only concern, I know Castlevania is very dark. It's in for mature audiences. Now that the Castlevania series has been directed that way. The games represent that. So, I mean, it's not a surprise that they would make a show in that vein. Metroid, however, has always been different. It's been a dark series, a suspenseful series, but it's never crossed the R rating of the lines. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you kill things, you're killing aliens, and it's not Federation troopers getting devoured and ripped in two, things like that. And although Samus is obviously clearly they draw her up to be a very attractive woman, there's not much interaction she has with other people to really sexualize the show up, whereas I know Castlevania has. I've heard a lot. There's a lot of sexual references in the cartoon as well. So my concern is the guy, because he developed Castlevania, would he do that with this? And And would Nintendo even allow that? Because Nintendo is very, very strict with their properties. And I could see them not, if he would do that, not let him do that. But I just want to know what your guys' thoughts are. That's my thoughts. Sean, we'll go ahead and start with you real quick. What do you think about that?
I think it is awesome, man. And I hope that they take it to the nth degree. I think that Metroid can be taken to a new place. I think a lot of what you're saying there can happen. And as far as Nintendo goes, let's be honest. We've seen Zero Suit Samus, Amiibo, and all the like not bad looking lady. And we got between her and biker tracksuit Rosalina. Come on. Nintendo has no problem with this. So yeah, I don't know why I'm saying that. I would be really excited. This is what people have been clamoring for years and years and years, is more Metroids, and now it's time to prove it. If that's actually what we wanted, then it's time to consume it all and be pumped about it. So how could I argue that?
No, I think an anime would really help, especially if it's not like, I'm not saying targeted towards kids.
I think anime, honestly, in general, would benefit from more Nintendo properties making the move over, like as a way to kind of break down and a bit of a gateway for people who aren't totally into anime. Go like, well, I get Mario, I get Zelda, I get Metroid. Like to have some of these cartoons, but in anime form, to be like, oh, there's this whole other like world of manga and all these other things. I think it would be in the best interest of not only Nintendo, but the anime sort of culture in general. I think would be a good thing for them too.
Well, Metroid has had a manga, so we have seen some hints of that, and I think there was even I've seen some. It wasn't necessarily manga, but it was kind of that style. I saw some Kirby stuff with that. So it was back around GameCube days, I think it was. But
yeah, man, that'd be awesome.
I think it would lend itself really well. Now with Metroid, it does have that horror theme, and you don't want it to go too. You want it to stay kind of Nintendo, not so much, I guess, graphic. You don't want that graphic content. What I'm really, that's fine if it has it or doesn't. What I really, really want is them to do something with the story. Give us some more information. Let us learn more about the universe, because it's still a big mystery. And like, there's so many fan theories and stuff out there because they haven't given us anything to go off of with story and stuff. Like they ended it at Metroid 4 and it hasn't progressed since then. They've done some backstory stuff. I'm not saying go through events after Metroid 4. I'm saying give us some more to go with, like some more backstory for Space Pirates or Mother Brain or something. We got some of that in Other M, but it wasn't a great delivery. So
well, and more. To cap you off there with that, I mean, they tried. A lot of people were confused about Other M. You have to know the backstory of why Other M did things it did. A lot of people really hate this game. I think the worst thing that this game did was make Samus look like a little sissy. I mean, she sees Ridley and then it shows her flashback as a little girl. And I'm like, how many times have you beaten the crap out of Ridley at this point in your life? So why are you scared? But what they tried they tried to do is that there is a manga that was only released in Japan and did not come out in America. So a lot of Americans didn't even know this exists. They tried to tell the story, a backstory of the manga in Other M. And to Americans, it didn't translate. It didn't make sense. You have to know this to understand why they did what they did. Now, I'm still not saying that was a great option. Did they even do it well? No, that's one of the weak points of the game. But if Metroid had a strong other source, like an anime cartoon, along with the manga, released in America, and just even around the world in general, I really think you could see Metroid hit new heights that it's never hit because the popularity would grow so much more widespread. And if you have an anime and then you connect it to your video games, you could start seeing Metroid sales be better than they ever have. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sean, do you have any connection to the Metroid series?
It's one of my blind spots, honestly. Like I've played a little. I've actually probably got more experience with all the games that it inspired than Metroid itself.
Okay. So Metroid is phenomenal, and that brings me to my next little key topic. Just a little small rant. Okay, I'm not going to make it long because I know fans want to hear what we've been playing and
Can I give a guess?
The show. Yeah, give a guess.
It's that special collector's edition that isn't coming to the States.
Ooh.
Oh, how could you guess? I mean, if you follow me on Twitter and Facebook, I tweeted a photo out today of it, and I'm just so mad about it because it's like, am I thankful that we're getting a game in the first place? Heck yes. Am I thankful that we're even getting a CD with it? Yes. But then when you show me that Europe is getting like a smorgasbord of all these amazing collection things they're rare. Let's face it, they are rare. And if anyone tries to sell this, they'll charge a pretty penny for it because they're not going to be everywhere. Like why can't they release the same stuff in all regions? I don't get it. Like, do they think that it's going to sell better in Europe instead of America? Because I can promise you it would have sold out instantly in America if they had the same bundle here. Mm-hmm. I can promise that.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, are you included in this North America?
Yeah, we get whatever you guys get. Yeah, man. There's nothing special that comes here. If that were the case, you guys would all be coming on over here with your big American dollars and buying it up anyways. It'd be like when the Canadians crashed the Pokemon Go servers. You guys are like, get out of here. We're not ready for you yet. Stop hacking into our system.
That's hilarious. I mean, Sean, how do you feel about that? Like, why do you think they give another region stuff that they don't give the other?
I honestly have no idea. I was just thinking as you're saying that. And it's funny, like, I'm just probably too stupid to even get upset about it because I keep thinking, like, well, surely they will announce it for the Americas soon. Like, there's no way. And it's just totally being naive that's going to be the case. And likely we're not going to get it. So by the time that the actual reality sets into my brain, I've passed being upset about it because I've probably moved on to something else. So in the moment, I'm just like, it'll probably come. And I have no real strong feelings about it other than they better announce that sucker soon because it is so sweet, man. That is so perfect.
I'm kind of in that same feeling right now with the Splatoon Joy-Cons that we're not getting.
Good point.
Like, I want those two colors and not a single word. And I'm like, oh, maybe they'll say something. Maybe they'll announce it last minute and maybe they'll have it. But it's kind of too late now.
Well, isn't there like a Splatoon 2 bundle, like a Switch bundle happening in Japan? And then there was rumors that it was just the box, which makes no sense.
Yeah. You can buy the box for collector's reasons. If you wanted to get like the digital version or something, you could get the box. Like you could buy the box, but it doesn't have anything. Like,
goodness gracious.
But
collector stuff is getting so weird, isn't it? Like you get like a collector's edition of a game that doesn't come with the game. You have to buy that separately. And like I get in the instance where like it's a cross-platform type of thing, like a Mass Effect or something, it doesn't come with a game. And it allows the publisher to create as many of these boxes, like the trinkets, but they don't have to count for each of the different platforms. Like you don't have to make 100 Xbox versions and 100 PlayStation versions. You just make 200 versions, and then people can figure out, like, you just figure out the game after the fact. But to do that on a system and like Splatoon is exclusive, like the theory doesn't cross over.
You know, I'm building this theory that eventually things are going to be like, you can get this collector's edition you pay for, and then you just kind of a la carte, you grab a little bit here and a little bit here. So if you want your manual and your physical case, you pay extra there just a little bit, and you start building, and you want a pin, okay, you can pay for that, and then you get shipped to you in this custom case with all the stuff you wanted, like a la carte type of thing. I don't know. I feel like that could be something that they could try out soon. And I don't know if I'd like that, but you know.
I actually would love that. That's a great idea. Because
like those people that don't care about music, don't want a soundtrack, you can skip the soundtrack and go for like more physical swag that you want. So
like add what you want into the game. Like, to be honest, it annoys the crap out of me that you don't get manuals anymore. If I could pay extra to have a manual along with it, I would so do that. I like that. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I like that. So, I mean, I don't know why they do this. The Joy-Cons, thankfully, you can probably order that online from Japan and just still get them because it can work here. Just little things like that I think is annoying. So that's my rant. I'll get off my soapbox there. But because, guys, we have something very more important to talk about. A game that actually is already here and exists, and it came out a long time ago. So with no more time to waste, let's get into Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins.
Super Mario Land 2 came out in the U.S. November 2nd, 1992. The producer was Gunpei Yokoi, and the director was Hiroji Kiyotake. This game was following up after a weird iteration of Mario. There was aliens and Maui had statues, or Easter Island statues, I think is what they were, and there were some weird things in that game. So this was continued on the same person who did the first one.
Yeah.
And actually, he brought this whole series. I think, did he do the Wario one as well? The third one?
You said it was Gunpei Yokoi?
Yes.
Yeah, he went on and did the first Wario game.
So he did the trilogy of these Game Boy games, and this second one improved on the first one in so many ways. I'll be honest, it's a little fuzzy for me on when I got it. I remember picking it up eventually. I remember getting, I think it was a pre-owned game. I got it, and I remember at the same time when I got that, I got this case for my Game Boy Pocket. It was this rubber frame that you could like squeeze it into, and it had like straps on it, so like you could like sling it over your shoulder like a messenger bag style. But it was this rubberized like just exoskeleton for your Game Boy, and so I would carry that around everywhere, and I'd pull out my Mario game and start playing it.
Very nice. Yeah, for me, this game is very, very special to me actually, because there's a few I played as of last week's episode. I had a lot of Game Boy games growing up, and I even thought of more after the show ended that I forgot to say on the show. But Mario Land 2 was definitely, I'd have to say, in the top 5 games of my childhood. From what I had to play, I remember playing this game and grinding through it, and beating every little bit of this game. I remember just being mesmerized by just even the colors of the cartridge. I don't know if it's just being a little kid, but the bright colors of Mario and seeing a shark with punching gloves on, like everything drew me in. It tempted me. I wanted to dive into this world. And for me personally, I came from, I had the original Nintendo. We had Mario Bros. 1 and 3, and it broke. And this was my new forte into Mario. I lost the mainline Mario games because we no longer had a home console Nintendo. So Mario Land was all I had. And you better believe I ate it up because I loved playing Mario on the original Nintendo. So this game is very special to me. Well, obviously we'll get into the meat of the game here shortly, but I remember playing this game through and through. And I feel confident in saying that this was the very, very first video game that I ever beat in my entire life. So it was a landmark game for me, a milestone per se in my gaming life. So, but now, Mr. Sean, this episode was brought together all because of you, man. This is a special game to you. So why don't you go ahead, tell us your first experiences and some stories you have that go with Mario Land 2.
Gosh, we don't have nearly enough time for me to talk about my nostalgia, which, by the way, I am so impressed with like your commitment to the brand of nostalgia. Like, honestly, it's gotten to the point that whenever I hear anybody on like even Nintendo voice chat, when they say how heavily Nintendo is leaning into nostalgia these days, I'm like, yeah, just like that podcast of my friend Nintendo nostalgia. Like, it's so locked in. And whenever you say nostalgia, I'm like, oh, it's so perfect. So I love that. And I love that July is my birth month. My birthday's at the end of this month, so this is very special. And you've dedicated this entire month to the Game Boy. I think that is so clever. And we kind of skipped over that, I think. So I wanted to just make mention that we're continuing on this amazing month of dedication to the Game Boy.
That's
such a great idea, man. It is so awesome. And because, like, at my house, we didn't have consoles. Like, we basically had a PC in the house because that's where you did your homework, and we managed to sort of like finagle our way into getting crappy ports like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 2 where like the didn't look quite right. We had like a really terrible Mega Man game, like some just awful like Mega Man games with like 3 bosses, like just really, really bad games, but it didn't matter because that's all we were able to do. So but consoles really were only in the house when when it was somebody's birthday. We'd go to like Blockbuster Video or like the mom and grop shop that rented like the briefcase, the big, huge plastic with the foam inside, everything. Like those were the days. And that's why I love this show, because I just have such great memories, specifically in the summer of 1992, 1993, right around when this was coming out. I would have been just starting my paper route as a kid. And earning my own money. Like I would have been 8 years old, 9 years old, and like making just bank. You don't make that kind of money anywhere else. If you're mowing lawns, it doesn't even compare to the 3 days a week of your paper route. And I was banking away some cash. I used to be so good at just like putting away money. I didn't want to spend it. I had nothing that I really wanted. I didn't go to the 7-Eleven for candy or anything. I just had like this stash of cash. And one day I saw that the Game Boy had been out for a couple of years at that point, just the gray brick. And then all of a sudden the new colors came out, the yellow and the green and the red, but still the brick. It wasn't Pocket of this color at this time yet. And the green. And I don't know what it was about that green. I was just like, I have got to have that. So I ran into my stash of cash. My Canadian money wasn't worth a whole lot. So I had to get a lot of it to finally buy a Game Boy. But this was my decision. This was my way. Like I didn't have to ask my parents. It was my money. And I had my dad drive me down to, it was actually a grocery store with like a photo center in it, like the place where you take in, you guys might not remember this, but there once was a time before digital cameras, we had to put film in the camera and you have it developed. So it was in the same department of the grocery store that had all the video games. This place is called Superstore. So that was very fitting, considering Super Nintendo later would be there. We bought our Xbox from this place too. We didn't have Best Buy or anything. God, I'm so old, you guys. Holy crap.
Hey, so Sean, you know how old I was when Mario Land 2 came out?
Oh man, you're probably like 4.
I just turned 3 a couple weeks before.
Goodness gracious. Yeah. So I would have been about 8, I think, when this thing came out. So, but anyway, I used my own money to buy my Game Boy, which is why I'm so happy that you guys are doing this whole month. Very special time for me. This green Game Boy. My first game, by the way, was Donkey Kong Land. So I had a green Game Boy and a yellow cart. It was just the coolest thing. And I wouldn't have thought of it unless you mentioned it, Jacob, that I'm pretty certain that this was also the first game that I would have beaten, at least on the Game Boy for sure, but maybe of all time. And I think that maybe has something to do with why I think that it's so special, because it's bite-sized, but in all the best ways possible. Like the worlds themselves are beatable. Like you can, even when I was just playing this, I was mainly playing this on the bus just a couple of weeks ago. And within a couple of rides, like you're kind of done. You get to feel like you're accomplishing something with every time that you sit down with it. So my best memory of this is that I would have been heading over to my good friend, Brad White. What's up, Brad White? I haven't seen the kid in like 25 years.
He listens every week.
I know, Brad's the best. We became such good friends, and all we would do is just go to his house and I'd sit up in his room for 4 or 5 hours at a time, and we would just play this game over and over and over again. And just to cap things off, I also think that this game is special to me because it was probably my first experience with gambling, where I would, you collect all the coins and you have that ability to go and roll the dice, man. And are you gonna go for the $9.99? You gonna go for the big risk reward? Are you just gonna do a little bit at a time? And of course, no, you got to save up your cash and bet it all.
Had that little jingle that came on there. And by the way, I'm an idiot. I was born in 1990. I was 2 years old. I just turned 2, so make you feel even older. I was 3 yet. Sorry.
Dang it. Yeah, no, I was working.
Wow. I mean, I'm so glad that this game, that you have those memories, because that's what this show is all ran on, is memories and love for those good old days. I remember this game. I remember playing on summer break from school, and because I had a Game Boy for years, but I remember laying on my parents. I have a picture of it actually, laying on our kitchen floor. There was a little vent there, and I just plopped down in the middle. It must have been the winter because I think the heat was on, and I'm laying on this vent, kind of like a cat or a dog, and I'm just laying in my little onesie zip-up pajamas with my Game Boy in the air, and I'm just playing the Game Boy right there on the kitchen floor, the big old fat gray brick, but with Mario 2 in the back. Mario 2 was a revolution, I think, that in the definitely the handheld world, because to me, I mentioned that I always had this longing for the home consoles because I went so long without having a home consoles, and only my friends had these bigger graphic experiences. So the Game Boy in my mind mentally was kind of like a lesser experience, which, to be real honest, it is a lesser experience than a home console. But at the time, it was really cool to me because I went from Mario Bros. 1 and 3 and to the sprite of Mario Land 2. And I think it was much better than what even the NES had for games. This came out after Mario World, so I think he was a similar model to that kind of Mario. But I really appreciated it for what it was. You see how the longer a system lasts, the graphics usually tend to get better and better as the system survives because people understand how to use it more. And Mario Land 2 was a really pretty game for its time back in the day. I really, really enjoyed that. So I wanted to really talk about the game now. I mean, this game, you said it earlier that because you just replayed this game, you pulled out the old cart.
I got the original cart, man. Like that was it wasn't an emulator, it wasn't virtual console or anything. I grabbed that original cart from 1992, and I didn't put it in a Game Boy. I put it in a Game Boy Advance SP. So that's what I was playing.
Yeah, have some backlit there, but
exactly. Not animals.
I mean, you mean you didn't play in that puke green, yellow, green back with no backlight, and you have to.
I'd have to get my magnifier out again. The light on that thing.
Yeah,
that's exactly like Timex watch back in the day. Holy crap!
Heck yeah, dude. No, this game, I recognized it when I replayed it because I rebought it for my new 3DS and downloaded it, and I just beat it a couple weeks ago when we were in Seattle on our trip, and I realized, like, man, this is easy. Like, this is so easy. Like, granted, now we'll get to this part later on. There's one part of the game that is not easy, but the whole game, I mean, if I tried, I could have beaten this game in one entire day. Now, as a kid, dude, I swear this game was not that easy. Every level was a challenge and was difficult. And I remember the bosses being so much harder and intimidating. Like, oh, okay, here we go. Here comes the three little pigs and Mario, the top of the Mario building. Like, oh no, the final one, I think he like bounces off up and down around the walls. And like today, it's like moving in slow motion for me. I'm like, well, that was easy. But back then, I was terrified. Did you experience that as well?
Yeah, man, I totally, this was super easy to me. And I think that it's just like, I mean, games used to be hard back in the day, but there's just so much time and space that you have in this. And I just don't think that the platforming was really that difficult, and there's not too many enemies, I think, just as a result of the limited power on there. So, and also power-ups, I think, play a big part in this, and the checkpoints. So there's a lot sort of going in your favor. I think, if you really look at it, like the rabbit ears, the bunny Mario is like a little OP. Like you can really just kind of like float through most of levels.
Yes.
And if you were able to get, the fire, well, it's not a fire flower, but like the little feather hat or whatever that is.
It's like an Indian or something.
Yeah, I guess. But if you get that with a boss, you're done. You're totally fine. So in many, many ways, it's not only easy, but very quick too, because you've got maybe 2 or 3 levels per world. So you just fly through this game big time.
One thing, I'm glad that they introduced, there's secret exits. Like you can find secret like areas, like a couple of extra levels and stuff, bonus stages, if you will. That was really cool, like kind of shortcuts and things that you could take as well. They put some of those elements from Super Mario World, like you could see that in this game. You could see that reflected, and I really like that.
And the game in classic Mario fashion, it sort of teaches you to look for them as well. Like even the way that every single level ends with the goal at the top where you can ring the bell and then you can go play a little mini game. Like it's teaching you there's more to this than just like the regular finish. Yeah. Right. Sorry, Ryan, I interrupted.
No, you're good. You're good. One thing, this game was really hard as a kid, and it was because I was just brought up where like gambling was bad, and I felt bad like to gamble like my coins to do the mini game and stuff. I guess that was a good way to get extra lives, but I never really did that. So when I lost all my lives, I had to collect the coins that I had so far. So like it was actually harder for me at the time. Like, and I didn't quite get the whole mechanic of the bunny ears. I'm like, what do these bunny ears do? Like, I don't understand. Like, it just keeps me from getting hurt. I can get hit another time and not die.
Oh,
so
that's
like,
so
I didn't
funny.
realize that it did like the floating thing until like I finally got the hang of it. Like, but I didn't use it consistently even. Like, it was just another like mushroom for me.
Well, and you could jump really high with the ears too, like a bunny. I that was actually my favorite item as a kid, which probably makes sense. It's the biggest crutch you can have in the game there, I guess. But I mean, it was a great power up. There weren't tons of different power ups. I think you said you got the bunny ears, and then might have been. Was that it? Yeah, mushroom, the Indian looking hat, which was basically firepower, and the bunny ears. That was it.
Carrot. Yeah, carrot for the bunny ears.
Yep.
That's so perfect.
I hated when I was replaying it, doing my homework here. I didn't like how I would go into sometimes you would get to the end and like there's like an option to hit this button, and then this little bead will move up this meter and give you a certain item. And like, if I had the bunny ears, like, and I get forced you to do it, I don't think you could leave unless I was wrong and dumb, but I would do that. And then it would give me like a mushroom and downgrade me. I hated that so much. So yeah, I mean, we talk about how easy this game was. There was lots of different bad guys. There was you could go into outer space. There was an alien. Spoilers, guys. There's an alien boss, and there is a witch boss, and there is an octopus. Is that correct? Yeah, he's in the giant turtle. That you get to go inside a giant turtle
with a whale in it.
Yeah, with a whale inside the turtle. And then you get to go into this giant robotic Mario statue, and the three little pigs are up at the top there, and you get to attack them and fight them. Then you have like a bird in the tree, and I think that's it. I think that's all the bosses. Now they're all fairly easy from what I remember as a kid. I remember now as a kid, actually, I remember them being very all intimidating and very hard. But which I think this is funny because as a kid, the whole game was a challenge for me. So by the time I got to the final boss, you collect a golden coin after each world. That's why it's called Mario Land 2 and the 6 golden coins. Then they go into the middle of the island there, and there's a giant mansion per se, castle, and there's you can't get in until you have 6 coins, and they just magically. Sean's cracking up with this part. You want to tell him why it's so funny, Sean?
That's my favorite part because I really enjoyed just like the reward of the 6 golden coins. Like, that's the title of the game, and I just got one of them, and I'm almost there. You can feel yourself getting closer to the end, and this is something that never would have occurred to me as a kid, but as an adult playing this over again, I just had to laugh at the coins spin into place around a door that doesn't say like Wario or anything like that. It says Super Mario Land 2. It says the name of the game on the castle.
Right.
Busting into. It's so crazy to me. I absolutely love that, dude.
It's silly. Yeah. Man, the things they could do in the 90s, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Once you fill this up, now it gets very difficult. You gotta memorize this sucker. The castle is no easy chore. I died a lot of times, and I shamefully admit that I finally got to the point where I just saved right outside the boss. Now the boss was the first time
you were on 3DS. That's right.
Yeah, I just saved right outside.
Yeah, no, there was no save states for my card, man.
No, back in the day, with the way we always had to play it was. I mean, if you lost your lives, you had to start the whole game over like that. Luckily, this game was one of the rare Game Boy games that actually did save your progress as you beat it. So you could choose a pipe they could go down in. But it was. I mean, if you died, you're starting back with low lives, and until it forced you to get good at the game, which is a lot of games today I don't think are either as difficult when you hit certain points and or they handhold you a lot. But back then, I think the challenging part of the game to kids really prepared you for this. Whereas as an adult, I think I flew through everything else so easily that when I got to the castle, I was a little bit underprepared for how to get through this. I mean, I eventually got the hang of it, but
this happened to 90s kids all the time, though, Jacob. Even going through school, everything was so easy, super easy, and then you hit like high school and university, you're like, what the crap is calculus? So that's exactly the same.
Yeah.
This is we didn't know how to prepare kids for stuff back in the 90s.
That's a very good point. So you get through this castle. Once you finally get there, you are greeted by a villain that I had never seen before in my life. I didn't know him from anything, and I believe this was his first introductory into the Nintendo World universe. Wario. Wario is ugly, he is fat, and he is massive, and he's like 4 times the size of Mario. He scared me. He really scared me as a kid. He's really quick and he was different than any other boss, and you had to take him in I think 3 different separate stages throughout the event. And he would get power-ups too. So unlike other bosses, he got the bunny ears, he got the firepower. So it was very challenging, but it was very unique and very cool to see this new character in there.
That's always the terrifying thing when the final boss can do the abilities that you've gotten used to. Like it's sort of like Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat. You're like, wait a minute, you can turn into these guys? Like this is crazy.
Yeah.
And his mustache is all sharp, and all they did was just turn that M upside down and made him fat, and you've got this brand new character. The entire game is so wacky, guys. Like all the different zones and the way that everything is so on the nose in each one of the zones, like the Mario zone and the punk, like it's so wacky. Wario was the perfect final villain for this game.
Yeah. I was mystified when I got to this mechanical Mario level and going like it opened up. I think it's his foot that opens up. You start out at his foot and you work your way up, and like different parts shift around on him to open up to the different levels. That was such a cool element. I really, really liked that. It was so good. I just so many good memories of just like playing through that level over and over and over again. Even though I already had the coin there, I would go through that because I just loved it so much.
Is that your favorite zone, do you think, the Mario zone?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I didn't expect to come across that. Another mention is the alien that you do run into. That is the final boss from the first game, Totanga or what have you. So he does make an appearance in the second one. So you actually fight him as a boss later in the second iteration.
I have to say real quick, I'm glad you brought that up because this makes me so mad today. As a kid on Mario Land, you couldn't save in that game. You could not save. And I remember getting to that final boss, and I never could beat him. And I, to this day, never beat Mario Land. And I know, and I'm now I'm furious because I was at the final boss, and I never beat him. Are you kidding me? Mario Land was so difficult back in the day because just what we said, you couldn't save. So I might have to
couldn't see anything either. The sprites on that were so tiny. That's what I love about this is that the artwork just fits the Game Boy in general. And this is a great example of Nintendo scaling and just working with the hardware so perfectly. That like you didn't even like you never looked at this game and went, this is a lesser version of Mario World, even though like in many ways that's kind of what it is. The way that you have the map, the overworld, and you can do this in a very non-linear fashion. You can do it however you want. You can like there's really no limit or direction. You can do whatever the heck you want. So and the autosaves on this is also commendable as well. Like this was something I didn't even think about. But like back in the day, that would have been as soon as you beat the level, it's saved in. You could run out of batteries or you could have some shut off and you'd be right back. There'd be no problem with it.
Yeah.
Which was really cool and convenient. No, that's a great point that you may have. This was kind of like a miniature version of World, Mario World, because the first Mario Land, I want to compare the two games here. The first Mario Land was nothing like the setup of Mario Land 2. Mario Land was modeled after the original Mario game, not even Mario 3 or 2. Because every time you fought a boss, the very first boss of Mario Land 1, is like a lion sphinx type of thing, and he's shooting fire at you, and it comes at you just like it would in Mario Bros. With Bowser. And you have to the way you beat every boss in this game is you have to get over them, and you have to land on a switch, and it kills them. It makes the ground go away. Whereas in Mario Land 2, this really was a revolution if you think about how drastically the game changed. A revolutionary change from what you could do on a Game Boy with Mario Land 1 to Mario Land 2. These games do not take place in the Mushroom Kingdom, so by the way. That's why they're so wacky and different.
This actually took place in Mario Land. Or was it what was it called? It was something like given that name of Mario Land, I believe. And Mario had his own castle. At least that's what is kind of reported as. But you never see his castle or you see this land ever again.
I think once you beat the game, that Wario, his emblem flips upside down and it turns into Mario's castle. Yeah. So Mario has a giant castle.
What happens is apparently they were friends as kids, set up in Mario versus Wario. Mario and Wario were friends as kids, and I guess some grievances went on, or some things and inconveniences and stuff that happened to Wario as a kid. It's very similar to like Goku and Broly, and how like Goku like upsets Broly just by crying all the time, and it's like kind of that likeness where Goku's kind of skinnier and Broly's like big and beefy. Yeah. Like that's kind of like the likeness I gave there, like to those two. I always thought of those two as that kind of dynamic. And really that's why Wario comes onto the scene. He's like, you know what? Like my early childhood, Mario was a jerk to me, or at least according to him. And so like, I'm going to take over his castle. It deserves to be mine because Mario was bad to me. So I deserve my cut. Very, very jealous and what have you. So you had to win that back from him.
Yeah, it's a good backstory to mix it in there. And I mean, we'll talk, more later, but I mean, the Mario Land series eventually spins off into Wario, and Wario really gets to be built up as a character, and it starts to focus on him, which is all other games entirely, like you said, which was so unique that the villain from a previous game ends up becoming the hero of the next game, which was so cool to play as. But when I played this game, I was always expecting to run into Bowser at the end of the road. I didn't know, because again, I never beat Mario Land, so I didn't know Bowser wasn't at the end of that. And we didn't have the internet to tell us all this stuff. So I was expecting to run into Bowser, and I never ran into him, and I ran into Wario. Which I have to admit, I think that's actually a relief for me as a child, because Bowser always scared me. This giant, monstrous turtle-looking dude. And Wario was scary, yes, but he wasn't as scary as Bowser. So now we come to the time now where Nintendo's home consoles and their handhelds have merged into one. And Mario Odyssey looks phenomenal. And everyone talks about how we see all of these elements from Mario 64 in it, which it totally is a Mario 64 Sunshine type of game. But a key thing I've actually seen in the game that I don't think a lot of people talk about is there's a lot of ideas that they've pulled from the Mario Land series. Have you picked up on that, Sean? And I know Ryan, obviously you have. Give us some examples, man.
The main one that sticks out the most is the Sphinx, running around on the Sphinx.
The Sphinx was like the villain of the final boss of the first Mario Land game was a giant Sphinx. And then they have the Eastern Island guys that you can throw your cap on and walk around in.
The shades that flip down, you can see hidden items. Anyway.
That Eastern Island heads was a really big, prevalent background thing in Mario Land 1. So I think they're pulling a lot from not just the Mario mainline games, all Mario games. I personally would love to see Nintendo revisit the Land series for all their franchises. I've talked about it with Kyle Martin, because we really like these Land games because they were special treats. They were different. Yes, they were lesser experiences in your home consoles, but I could see Nintendo doing this thing, or I think it would work really well, to where they have a big, massive game like Mario Odyssey in the works, But in order to get there, instead of, right now we've kind of been getting HD releases of older games. Well, what if they made lesser games and it was like the Mario Land series again, where it's still an HD game, but it's more prone to, like, if this would have been on our handheld at the time, you get a Mario Land experience. I
want to throw out the obvious, and I feel like maybe because we're thinking of Mario Land in the 2D side scroller fashion, one of my favorite games of the 3DS was Super Mario 3D Land, which was sort of like, the land versus world version of like, they had sort of like those two A/B type of versions of that game. That was my favorite. I would absolutely love a Land 2. And I wonder if like there's a way to merge those things, because they were sort of like they're like sort of two cut from the same cloth kind of thing. Like very similar in terms of like that, the camera and the gameplay. I absolutely love 3D Land. So I think you're onto something, like more Land. I'm not sure if that's the new direction of the Land franchise or the series, but man, more of that would be banging for me, especially if we've got, if like Odyssey and like these types of like more the 3D platformer, if we're getting those every few years, I feel like people will be way more receptive to the 3D world and 3D Land games that we got, because people were not too pumped about that, but only because those were the Mario games that we got. If those were the second ones, that'd be cool, man. I'd be really looking forward to that if we had something like that coming next year.
Oh, I would love that. And I mean, you could even do it with like Donkey Kong Land, all their main titles. While you're working in between, sprinkle out these little games like the Land games. That would satisfy people, because they're not bad games. They're awesome treats in between these bigger pieces of cake of games. Ryan?
I like the Land series, and that the first two especially did something very, very outlandish with Mario. Like they introduced some elements. They're like, weird that there's a Sphinx. There's an alien that you're fighting as the final boss in the first one, and like even like an alter ego kind of Wario type character. Like they just did some very, very strange things, and it wasn't like your classic formula. I mean, you did your side-scrolling elements, of course, but they introduced some new enemies, and you had a carrot, and you had the bunny, and I want to see those new ideas be put in a Land game and save for a Land game that we can play through. Like even if it's a 2D, I know they've gone with the new Super Mario Brothers stuff, but I'd like to see them do the outlandish stuff and they take some crazy creative ideas and put it into a Land series again, and see that because it's so unique. And yes, it is Mario, but it puts Mario in weird ways, in weird worlds. And that's kind of what we're getting with Odyssey. I see that,
man.
Like going into the different themed areas, and you do get that feel for Land and how outlandish it was. And I'd like to see that done, but given that homage to that Land series, and just giving it its deserved like offbeat, if you will.
This is what happens when Nintendo starts eating its own stash of magic mushrooms. Like, what is this?
They get to start making something new. Absolutely. Yeah, they absolutely can go in weird, wacky ways and experiment in these Land games. Get away from the Mushroom Kingdom. Come up with new things. That's what Mario, it was a mainline game on the NES, but Mario 2 was all wacky and different from what we traditionally know. And that's where Shy Guys were introduced. I mean, and the fuzzy dudes, all those things. And they Nintendo can do that and then pull the best from these Land games and put them in their main series of Mario games if they'd like. But, well, guys, I think we should round out the show here. Sean, every week we get to let everybody, our guest, if we have them on, tell them where they are. So I'm sure a lot of people who listen already know who you are. You're a pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. You're a legend. But go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank you for having me on, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've been looking forward to this for a very, very long time. I honestly don't know if there's another game that I could have gotten this excited for. So you know me very well, so I appreciate that. And I also wanted to say, before we end out the show, that you have You have some of the greatest listeners. Your community is so amazing. I had Jesse Armstrong reach out to me actually earlier just today, actually yesterday as well, but we've been talking over the last couple of days, and he's like, hey, I know that you want the Bayonetta player 2, and just so you know, it's in stock at GameStop and Best Buy. And so we had a little interaction. I had to let him know that unfortunately, like, they don't really ship up to Canada, and everything in Canada is out of stock for that. And he's like, well, look, I can help you out. I'm going to ship you up a Poochie amiibo and a Bayonetta player 2 amiibo. And I'm like, I don't know. I did not do anything to deserve that kindness. And the only way that I can possibly repay this is just to give him a special little shout out here and give you guys a whole bunch of credit for having this community and having people who are respectful with each other and to each other and just plain old awesome. So thank you to you and to Jesse and everybody. It's been such an amazing ride. This whole thing has been awesome, dude.
Well, that's awesome to know. And that we thank you, Jesse. Jesse is really active in the community, and he is a great dude to get to know. And, he got a Switch because of the show and everything. And I've talked with Jesse before, and he's been able to revisit his childhood memories, and it just brings back new and all the good feelings like what we talk about. And that's the whole point of this show. And thanks for bringing that up. And just a reminder to our listeners, if we have new listeners this week, please join our community, talk about this game and your memories, because that's what we want to hear. Sometimes I do think our community gets it's the same people talking, which is amazing and awesome, but we always welcome new faces and new people to chime in. So don't be scared. Join us.
There's lurkers in there, man. Don't come out from the shadows. Let us know what you think.
Since we're doing shout outs, I'm going to need to do a shout out myself.
Speak out.
You just made my day, dude.
What?
I wanted to give a shout out to Eric Plunk. He's been very active posting things in our chat, and I just want to say thanks, man. We really enjoy your feedback and the stories you share with us.
I enjoy his friendship on Switch and Wii U. Good times, dude.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you guys become our friends, you also can get to all of our personal gaming device codes, and we all can game personally on there. So Sean will kick your butt at arms.
I don't know about that. No, man, I'm not that good about that stuff. But yeah, this has been awesome, dude. Thank you so much.
Great. Where can they find you if they would love to listen to your shows and follow you?
They can find me in Edmonton, Canada, and on the internet, I am Sean Capri. It's Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. I do 2 podcasts, one with our boy Bobby Pauls, the Nintendo Guru. It's called If We Were at Nintendo, and my other show where I met Bobby, where I talked to you on twice, actually, a rare repeat occurrence, is on We the Gamercast. So every week I have Sweet Hanks with a stranger from the internet, and that's on Monday. And the other show, If We're at Nintendo, is on Wednesday. So yeah, I post everything on Twitter, so that's probably the best place to find me and stuff.
Awesome. And Ryan wants to round him out with our due diligence.
Sure thing, man. You can find us on dayspace.com. You can find us on iTunes and Google Play. You can join us on our Facebook at facebook.com/NintendoNOS. Find us on our Twitter at Nintendo_NOS. And if you want to get a hold of us, shoot us an email at NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com.
Yeah, you can find me at NOSJacob73 on Twitter if you want to follow me. So, but guys, you know what? This has been a blast. Every week is a blast. I enjoy talking about all of these games, so I'm never blowing smoke here. I really, really enjoy talking about this game. I don't always rebuy every game we play, and this was a game that I had to replay and revisit, especially that, be on top of my A game here with Sean coming on. But Sean, happy birthday, early birthday. We're honored that you could be on, and trust us, we want you on for a lot more than just Mario Land 2. So listeners, be on the lookout for Sean to be back soon. So please
hit me up. This was amazing. I will barge in if you guys don't ask me soon.
Well, we'll get you back on, I promise. So, well, guys, I think that's it for the night, and we'll see you next week, okay?
Later.
Bye.